I never told my son Michael about the $47,000 I earned every single month. To him, I was just Mama Rosa, the struggling old widow who lived in apartment 3B of the crumbling Willow Creek apartments, the one with the flickering hallway lights, the leaking roof, and the temperamental boiler that woke everyone up at 3 a.m. I collected rent in cash every first of the month, wearing the same faded navy cardigan with the missing button. I fixed toilets with a wrench older than my son. I listened to tenants complain about everything while nodding patiently, never once letting on that I could buy the entire block with a single phone call. Michael believed I was barely getting by. His fiancée, Vanessa, and her wealthy family believed I was a pathetic, money-grubbing slumlord scamming good people. And that was exactly how I wanted it. Until the weekend they all came to visit. The weekend, Vanessa and her parents decided to humiliate the poor old landlady in front of my son and half the building. The weekend I finally stopped pretending and quietly reminded them exactly who owned their luxury downtown penthouse. Let me tell you the whole story. Because my only son, Michael, at 34 years old, never knew the truth about his mother. To him, I was always the woman who worked 2 jobs after his father died, who wore clothes from the church donation bin, who drove a 2004 Toyota Corolla with 280,000 miles on it, who said, "We'll manage, mijo," every time money got tight. I never corrected him. I never told him that I had quietly built a real estate empire of 12 apartment buildings across the city, over 480 units in total, worth more than $180 million. I never told him that I still lived in Willow Creek, not because I had to, but because I chose to. I wanted to stay close to the people, to remember what it felt like to struggle, to make sure success never turned me into the kind of person who looked down on others. Why the secrecy? Because after my husband Carlos passed away from cancer when Michael was only 12, I saw how money could destroy families. I watched relatives fight over the little life insurance we had. I watched friends' children become entitled monsters once their parents got rich. I made a vow at Carlos's graveside. I would raise Michael to value hard work, kindness, and humility above all else, even if it meant living simply for the rest of my life. So I did. I kept the same small 2-bedroom apartment where Michael grew up. I collected rent myself every month. I dressed in thrift store clothes. I drove the same old car. Meanwhile, my property management company ran everything else under layers of LLCs. The profits flowed into investments, more buildings, and a private foundation that quietly helped dozens of families, including my own son, without him ever knowing. No one suspected a thing. Until Vanessa entered the picture. Vanessa Harrington came from one of the city's most prominent families. Her father, Richard Harrington, owned multiple car dealerships and commercial developments. Her mother, Cynthia, spent her days on charity boards and posting perfect Instagram lives from their waterfront mansion. They lived in a world of country clubs, European vacations, and private schools. When Michael brought Vanessa home for the first time 2 years ago, she smiled politely at my humble apartment, but I saw the flicker of disdain in her eyes. Still, I welcomed her. Michael was happy, and that was enough for me. But over time, her attitude worsened. Every visit came with subtle digs. "Your building smells like old soup, Rosa. Don't you think it's time to retire instead of chasing tenants for rent? Michael deserves better than growing up in a place like this." I stayed quiet. I smiled. I waited. Then came the engagement. And the weekend, Vanessa's parents insisted on inspecting where their future son-in-law came from. That was the weekend everything changed. It was a warm Friday afternoon in late spring when Vanessa's silver Mercedes SUV pulled up in front of Willow Creek Apartments. I was outside watering the struggling flower beds I planted myself along the walkway. I wore my usual uniform, a loose floral blouse from Goodwill, beige pants with worn knees, comfortable orthopedic shoes, and my hair pulled back in a simple gray bun. Michael jumped out first, looking nervous but excited. "Mama! They're here!" Vanessa stepped out in designer jeans, heels that clicked sharply on the cracked sidewalk, and oversized sunglasses. Her mother, Cynthia, followed in a cream-colored pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly rent roll. Richard Harrington emerged last, tall, tanned, with a gold watch glinting on his wrist. I wiped my hands on my blouse and smiled warmly. "Welcome to Willow Creek. I'm so happy you could come." Cynthia looked around slowly, taking in the faded brick exterior, the peeling paint on the window frames, and the old Mr. Garcia sitting on the stoop with his cane. Her nose wrinkled slightly. "This is where you live, Rosa?" she asked, forcing a smile. "Yes, dear. Apartment 3B. Come inside. I made fresh lemonade and empanadas." Vanessa whispered something to Michael. He laughed uncomfortably. As we walked up the stairs, the elevator had been broken for 2 days, something I was already planning to fix. Richard commented loudly. "These buildings must be from the 60s. Must be hard to maintain on a fixed income, huh?" "I manage," I replied softly. Inside my apartment, they looked around with barely disguised pity. The same floral sofa from 1998, the old oak dining table Carlos and I bought at a garage sale, family photos on the walls, a small TV in the corner. Cynthia ran a finger along the windowsill and frowned at the dust. "It's very cozy, Rosa. But don't you worry about safety? Crime in these neighborhoods? I've lived here for 38 years, I said calmly. "It's home." Vanessa sat down carefully, as if the couch might stain her clothes. "Michael told us you collect rent yourself. That's interesting. Most landlords hire companies for that." "I like staying connected to my tenants," I replied. "They're good people, families, seniors. Some immigrants like my Carlos was." Richard chuckled. "Admirable, but probably not very profitable. These old buildings eat money. Repairs, taxes, insurance. You must be barely breaking even." I poured lemonade and said nothing. The real trouble started that evening. Several tenants came by to pay rent or report issues while the Harringtons were there. Mrs. Patel needed an extension because her husband was in the hospital. Young couple in 2C complained about the dripping faucet again. Mr. Thompson, a retired veteran, asked if I could help with his broken air conditioner before the heat wave. I handled each one with patience, offering what I could. Vanessa watched everything with growing irritation. After the last tenant left, she exploded. "Rosa, this is ridiculous. You're letting these people walk all over you. They're clearly taking advantage of an old woman. You should raise the rents or hire a real management company. This nice landlady act is why your building looks like this." Michael tried to intervene. "Vanessa, please." "No, Michael. Your mother is living like this while these tenants pay pennies and complain. It's not right." Cynthia nodded in agreement. "We've seen this before. Slumlords who pretend to be poor to avoid proper maintenance. Rosa, if you need advice on how to run things properly, we can connect you with our property managers." Richard added, "And frankly, the state of this place is embarrassing. Our daughter is marrying into this family. People will talk. Michael grew up here?" The humiliation continued all weekend. They complained about the noise from the children playing outside. They wrinkled their noses at the smell of my neighbor's cooking. Vanessa took photos of the cracked tiles in the hallway and sent them to her friends with laughing emojis. I saw it over her shoulder. On Saturday afternoon, while Michael was at the store, they cornered me in the small courtyard. Cynthia spoke first. "Rosa, we need to be honest. We love Michael. But we have concerns. Vanessa is used to a certain lifestyle. We can't have our grandchildren growing up around this environment. We think it would be best if you sold this building and moved somewhere nicer. Perhaps a senior living facility? We'd be willing to help with the costs. Vanessa jumped in. We can even give you a monthly allowance so you don't have to chase rent from deadbeats anymore. Say $1,500? It would give you peace in your old age. Richard nodded. And in return, we ask that you step back from Michael's life a little. Let us guide the wedding and future decisions. No offense, but this humble landlady image isn't the brand we want for our family. I listened quietly, my hands folded in my lap. The old cardigan felt heavier than usual. I finally spoke, voice low. You think I'm scamming my tenants? That I'm a burden on my son? We're just being realistic, Cynthia said sweetly. I stood up slowly. Then let me show you something. I led them to the small office I kept on the ground floor. It looked ordinary. Filing cabinets, an old desk, a computer from 2015. But I opened my laptop and logged into the secure portal. One by one, I showed them the documents, deeds, corporate filings, financial statements. Willow Creek was only one property. I owned 11 more, some modern, some luxury, some renovated beauties in prime locations. Total portfolio value, over $180 million. Monthly cash flow that made their car dealerships look small. Vanessa's face went pale. Cynthia's mouth fell open. Richard stared at the screen in disbelief. You own all these? Richard whispered. Yes, I said calmly. And I've been quietly helping Michael for years. The down payment on his first car. The money for his college books when he thought it was a scholarship. The emergency fund when Vanessa's credit cards got maxed out last year. All from me, anonymous, because I wanted him to stand on his own feet. I turned to Vanessa. You called me a slumlord. You mocked my clothes. You suggested I was scamming good people. You offered me allowance money to disappear from my son's life. All while living in a luxury penthouse in the Grandview Towers. Vanessa's eyes widened. I smiled coldly. The building you live in? I own it too. Unit 2401. Your lease is under Harrington Holdings, but the property belongs to me. Silence. I picked up my phone and made a call on speaker. Kevin, it's Rosa. Effective immediately, evict the tenants in 2401 at the Grandview. They have 30 days. No extensions. Kevin, my property manager, didn't even hesitate. Yes, Mrs. Alvarez. I'll handle the paperwork today. Vanessa started crying. You can't do this. We have a lease. You do, I replied. And I own the building. I can enforce it. Consider this your official notice. Michael walked in at that moment carrying groceries. He froze when he saw the tears and the tense faces. Mama, what's going on? I looked at my son with all the love I had carried alone for 22 years. Sit down, mijo. There's a lot I need to tell you. The aftermath. I spent the next 3 hours explaining everything. The years of quiet building. The reasons I chose to live simply. The foundation I created to help single parents and immigrants. How I had been supporting him without his knowledge. Michael cried. He hugged me harder than he had since he was a little boy. Mama, all this time, you did all this for me? For you, for your future, and for the values I wanted you to have. Vanessa and her parents sat in stunned silence. Finally, Richard spoke. Rosa, Mrs. Alvarez, we were wrong. Terribly wrong. I looked at them. You judged me by my clothes and my building. You treated me like trash because you thought I had nothing. That kind of cruelty reveals more about your character than mine. I turned to Vanessa. You have 30 days to find somewhere else, or you can apologize genuinely and learn what respect really means. The choice is yours. But my son will not marry someone who treats his mother like this." Vanessa broke down completely. Through sobs, she apologized. Cynthia and Richard followed. Whether their apologies were real or driven by fear of losing their penthouse, only time would tell. Michael made his own decision that night. He told Vanessa he needed time to think about the engagement. He moved back into my building temporarily, into the apartment next to mine, so he could get to know the mother he never truly knew. Over the following weeks, real change began. Michael started working with me at the properties. He learned the business from the ground up. He saw the good I was doing through the foundation. Vanessa and her family moved out of the penthouse after 28 days. They found a more modest place. Vanessa started volunteering at one of my building's after-school programs for kids. Slowly, painfully, they began to understand. As for me, I finally moved out of apartment 3B, not to a mansion. I bought a quiet little house with a garden near the park. I still shop, simply. I still drive an unassuming car. But now I do it because I want to, not because I'm hiding. Michael visits every Sunday. We cook Carlos's favorite recipes together. He tells me about his life, his dreams, and the woman he is now dating. Someone kind, humble, and respectful. And every first of the month, I still visit Willow Creek. I collect rent from a few longtime tenants personally. I listen to their stories. I remember where I came from. Because true wealth was never about the buildings I owned. It was about the life I built, the son I raised, and the dignity I never let anyone take from me. Even when they tried their hardest. Did you like the story? Which moment hit you hardest? The weekend humiliations, the dramatic reveal in the office, the eviction call, or the emotional mother-son conversation afterward? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story of hidden wealth, family betrayal, and quiet strength moved you, please support with a super thanks so I can keep creating more powerful life stories. I'm creating from Brampton, Ontario. Where are you watching from? Let's connect. Subscribe for more secret millionaire, family revenge, and life lesson stories. 2 new ones are waiting for you right now. See you in the next one. With love and respect.